Good morning. My name is Jacob, for you that don't know. So, really quick, I want to start off with a story. So, I don't know if any of you have heard of Whiskey A Go Go. It's a really famous venue in LA. And they're off Sunset in Hollywood. And so, in the mid-90s, there was a band that played there. And they were getting looked at by record labels. And they had management for over a year. And so they played, and the crowd loved them. They sang the songs. They were cheering, clapping. And so afterwards they went and talked to their manager. And the manager said, well, the record label really liked your sound, but they felt that it didn't really tie in all that well because of the drums. And so one of the things he said was that the drums didn't sound good at all. He said they didn't fill in, they didn't hit hard. And so that's one of the key things that happens when you don't change heads like this one. This one has been on here for a while, and as you can hear it, it's really dead and nasty. And so everyone knows someone who has a drum set. It might not be you, but maybe like a family member, brother, an uncle. I think I'm like the third person in my family to have a drum set, so everyone has one. And so Al Schneider in Drum Magazine in 2008 wrote that you can have all the chops in the world, and chops is kind of like riff for guitar. So you can have all the chops in the world, but if you don't have good drums, what's the point? You can have the best heads, they'll sound really good. If you don't, it'll sound like crap. So another person from Rock Drummer Magazine in 2006 said that you have a really nice kit, like this one is, well, it's supposed to be really nice with the drum head, but you can have a really nice kit, but if your drums aren't tuned, it's going to be terrible. And so a really good fact on Los Angeles Times that Generation Y is a really music-based and really talented musicians called Generation Y. But if we're setting them up with drums like these that sound horrible and guitars that are not stringed or instruments that are not properly tuned, we're going to have a generation full of musicians who have really crappy instruments. And so in this speech, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to change the drum head. And first, I'm going to replace it with another head. I'm going to tune it for you so it's in tune. And then I'm going to give you a demonstration, a comparison of how this drum head sounds compared to one that's newer. And so first, I'm just going to give you the tone of what it sounds like. Really dead. There's no vibration at all, and it sounds really nasty. And so I'm going to start by untightening these. And so there's no particular order. They just come off however. And what I'm doing is I'm loosening the lug nuts. And it holds these claws down to this wood hoop. And when it holds them down, it puts tension on the drum head to the edge of the drum. And that's how you get your tone. And the tighter you go, the higher pitch you can get out of each drum. And each size has different tones. So a smaller one like this has a more higher tone. It's called a rack tom. And you get more of a high-pitched tone out of it. But not like a snare where it's really poppy. If you have a bigger one, usually 2 to 3 times the size of this one, you get a real low-end tone. Something that's more of like a floor tom, that's what they're called. And so once you have them all removed, it should lift up pretty simple. And you're just going to go straight up with it. Here's 1 step. 2 step. Awkward silence. And then once it's off, you're going to go straight up, and the hoop's going to come off. And once the hoop's off, you can just pull the head off. And so right here, once you pull the head off, you want to make sure there's no dust or cracks or anything in the rim. Because if you have a head on for a really long time, you're going to get cracks from the plastic sitting lower. and when you hit it, it's going to keep pushing it in more. So what you want to do is just check it, and you can put your new head on any way you want. Just make sure that it lays all the way across around the whole edge. And then you can lay your new hoop on, or same hoop. And the good thing about this style of drum is that there is wood hoops. So you can you have a little more play than if you have metal hoop drums, but people usually have. And so kind of go around and lay it all back on. Hand tighten, you don't want to go with a tool yet, because that's more like the tuning process. You just want to get them to where they're sticking and putting a little bit of pressure on the head. Cool fact about drums is that they're used a lot in the old Cold War and World War and all that stuff like that. They used to have a snare, and sometimes they had these, but they had more like 4 of them, and you kind of see it in marching bands and stuff like that too. And also it was used by natives. They would actually use the skin of deer and other animals as their skin heads, and they would play them like that with usually instead of a drumstick, they would use turtle shells as your beaters. So that's really cool. I find that interesting. So once we get all of the drums tightened down, we're going to get to the tuning process. And again, you don't want it to be too tight. You just want to have it to where there's no gap in between the claw and the bottom of the bolt where the washer is. And so I'm just going around to get it to screw in, since it's kind of a deep lug. Okay, so then once you have it on, I'm going to put up the image. So when you have it loose, when you put your 2 fingers in the middle, it's going to have all those wrinkles. And all those wrinkles is because it's too loose, and there's not enough pressure on each side. And so what the diagram will show is where you tighten, and on this one it's 6, on that one it's 8. But it's basically the same principle. You're going to go, if you want to start like this, you would go from top to bottom, and then side to side, back and forth, crisscross formation. And so, really quickly, I'm just going to put my 2 fingers on. I'm going to tighten the corner until it comes out. I'm going to show you guys where if I put my finger on it, I push, and if I tighten it, how all the wrinkles come out on that corner. And so what I'm going to do is go around quickly and tighten these, just so there's no wrinkles. And once you get to that point, that's where you pretty much have the lowest frequency you can get. And so when you get to that frequency, that's considered, it's like the lowest. So if you go around, it's pretty low. And so what you want to do is give it a half turn on each one. Just pull it loose. Give it a half turn, or even a quarter turn. Just to give it enough tension so it's grabbing, and you're not higher note. And what I like to do is I like to go a little high because I like it when it rings out more, especially live. If you have dead drums, and even if you mic them, it's not going to pick up as well, and like you get a lot of complaints for like, I couldn't hear the drums, so this should be